Welcome, and it's my pleasure to hand this over to Jason Morrison for our welcoming notes.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Joe. Good morning. I think most of you are in the morning. I'm late at night. So for those that are taking this in North America, good evening to you, or Latin America for that matter. Let me just start by saying the CEO Water Mandate spends basically every day thinking about how to support our 440 members or so that are seeking to have a positive impact on freshwater resources and that are looking to make a meaningful contribution to the overall resilience of the watersheds in which they either have direct operations, key supply chain partners, or just major markets for their products and services. We have long known there's a very strong business case for taking action on water, both to ensure a secure water supply for the business, but also understanding that the business is situated within communities that need resilient water systems, and that's critical for business success over the long term. As Catherine said, my role is to set the global context for today's meeting. So I'll do that by talking about my experience 2 weeks ago in Davos for the World Economic Forum. As with past years, there was a bunch of hoopla about how the promise of AI is going to transform business. And this year, there was also a lot of focus on the major geopolitical shifts that are underway. When it comes to climate mitigation, there was some hemming and hawing, a little bit of equivocation among a range of participants on their appetite for ambitious action. But one thing was very clear at the meetings in Stockholm, and that is the business understanding of the need for accelerated action on both, well, water specifically, but climate adaptation more broadly was very clear. At our CEO Circle meeting of the Water Resilience Coalition, our member company chief sustainability officers doubled down on their commitment to have collective positive water impact in 100 water stress basins by the year 2030. A number of those basins are here in India. In the CEO Water Mandate, we have also long understood that the most powerful vehicles that we know both globally and locally for making meaningful impact towards basin resilience is collective action, going at this wicked problem together, carpooling, if you will, coordinating our engagements among stakeholders on a shared problem and to move together toward an end destination in a coordinated way, optimizing our efforts through shared standards, metrics, and sharing that car space with peers so that resources are more efficiently and strategically invested, and more organizations, particularly companies, can be part of that journey and ultimately have an end goal that we realize faster and makes that end goal actually more realistic. India has been making quick work of a strong overall narrative for the power of collective action and has been pioneering the models for making this happen in the real world. There are exciting examples of collective action happening right now across the CEO Water Mandate's priority basins in India, including the Nature Conservancy's Gold River Water Fund in the Krishna, WaterAid's Women in Water Collaborative that has started in the Godavari, and now with its 6th corporate member is moving to the Ganga. There's the Godavari Initiative in the Upper Godavari, managed by CSR Box. And today, we're going to hear specifically from one of our closest partners in India, iit-iit, about a collective approach and technology platform that they have developed that we have seen significantly speed up and expand this carpool coordination across India in a number of CEO Water Mandate's priority basins. We're grateful for the leadership, innovation, and expertise that Joe and his team have brought to the collective action efforts in India through his unique solutions portfolio that you're about to hear about today. This is a movement that is actually working in India, and we're really excited to share with you these examples of success and welcome your questions and participation in how it can become even more relevant for your company and the other stakeholders that are on this call. So with that, handing back over to you, Joe, to take it from here.
Thank you so much, Jason. And I'm going to go right into the presentation. What I'm going to walk through today, what's exciting is a very structured approach to the collective action, building upon everything that is already happening in a very, very rich way in India. And as Jason said, helping the carpool momentum to take place. The heart of the system, the lifeblood of the system that we're developing around is solutions. These are solutions that are already happening in India. In that context, we've defined a role called a solution leader, which are corporations or foundations who are already working with some of these solutions, understand it really deeply, and then they work with us to resource the efforts to codify it. The codification helps so that others can also adopt it so that this carpooling, this collective action can take place seamlessly. What I have here is a list of solutions already working or proven in India and our plan for codification. In scope for 2025 are 6 solutions, 4 on the supply side, 2 on the demand side, rejuvenation of water bodies, landmark water bodies, which extends it towards economic livelihood, water treatment in canals, wells, and drinking water, spring shed restoration, and on the demand side, sugarcane and cotton. So this is already in scope. It's in action for 25. Under discussion are solutions around water aids, women and water, utility solutions that we've identified that many people are working on, 1 acre wadi farming, which is a very sustainable format on the demand, and on paddy, a couple of different ones that we are in discussions with partners to codify. And then finally, an additional scope that we recognize exists, but we're trying to find the right partner to work with to codify it, is afforestation, plantation, watershed area treatment, and wheat and soy. And so both on the supply side and the demand side, we're looking to cover more than 80% of the water needs in India with this list. The structure now, so with this heart of the lifeblood, there's a structure for how it needs to get implemented. So it starts at the country level, India, which we've then broken down to regions, the north, central, and south, Ganga in the north, Godavari, Krishna in center, and Kaveri as the prominent basins of the south. From regions, we go down to basins, and this is just now zooming in the south. There are 5 basins we've picked in the south, covering the south region: Tungabhadra, Penner, Palar, Punya, and Kaveri. From the basins, we then go down to the actual engagement with communities. A very critical part of this is community ownership. And so community clusters define the basis to engage communities in a way that creates relevance for the basin. Each cluster here is a 2,000 square kilometer area. We've designed this in terms of both coverage of the basin as well as where there is traction happening. Of the clusters needed in these 5 basins, 20, there is work started in 11. That's the ones you see in blue. There's planning underway in 5, the ones that you see in the orange, and still needed are 4. And so we're already at potentially getting to about an 80% coverage for sure by the end of this year. The solutions that are engaged are rejuvenation of water bodies, landmark water bodies, and FPO Market Connect that are formally engaged by us in this, while other things are still happening. From clusters, we then get down to the solution adoption, right? And that is tracked on a very simple scale of what we call adopt, engage, mature. So that is tracked so that, again, all of these are done at community levels. What you're seeing shaded in the blues are gram panchayats, and they have been given a score that allows us to understand whether they're at the adopt stage of solutions, the engage stage of solutions, or mature. And that allows us to understand a transformation journey as we kind of understand how communities are engaging across these solutions. The roles again here for corporations to play are basin adopters. So they commit to this community adoption around solutions. And then basin leaders are basin adopters who also resource efforts to bring into this basin and community clusters more adopters, more corporations who will also support it, as well as more solutions. And that's how the corporations involved will bring this together. Where are we today on the key solution statistics that I showed you? We've measured 6.6 billion liters of capacity, created 10,000 farmers engaged, 30,000 farm acres impacted, just to give you an illustration of how this is then tracked. This is the same picture now for the central region. And here there are 8 basins that are picked. starting with Vetarna, which is the Western Basin. Within Godavari, there are three: the Godavari Upper, the Varda, and the Pranita. These are on the and the Manjra. These four that are on the brown colors. And then in the Krishna, the purple colors is your Sina, the Nira Bhima, and the Musi. And again, we need 50. We've got started in 44%. We've got planning underway, the yellows, for another 28% that gets us past the 70% mark. And still needed are the whites, which are 14, right? And here the solution started a rejuvenation of water bodies, landmark water bodies, sugarcane, and cotton. Here we then go to the north, where it's still early days. And again, it's early days from our mapping standpoint. It's not that work isn't happening. So largely we've mapped the Yamuna, where we have leadership that has stepped up to kind of really support that. There's several partners that we're talking to here. We've mapped about 23 clusters are needed. We've started in just one, but there's planning underway in 7. There is interest from a key partner who works in the basin, who've talked to us about 2 regions that would make up another 10. And then we would just need 5 to cover the Yamuna. So that's in a good place. We also have a basin leader who stepped up here, which is, you'll hear from them later today, Varun Beverages, ORJ Corp Foundation. And so they will help us resource to get to that goal to cover the Yamuna. The other locations, again, we've mapped because we are talking to partners, and we hope to have a full map for them by the end of the year. There's in the Ganga itself, there are 4 basins, the Yamuna, Gaula, Ghagra, and Gomti that we've covered. And then west of the Yamuna, there's Ghaggar, which is largely in Haryana, and the Satluj, which is largely in Punjab. The solutions that are started or underway are rejuvenation of water bodies, spring sheds, sugarcane, cotton, and paddy. So we've talked about the kind of heart or the kind of the blood flow, which is the solutions. We've talked about the structure going from country all the way to communities and solutions. Here's the nervous system, and this tech is your nervous system. It's designed personally for every corporation on this call. It is to help you create your own personalized strategy to navigate what I've just shared with you. The OMI is what we've called it, which is the OMI being the AHA around this. The O of the technology is to create your own national map that is your personalized map, and we've started doing this for several partners. It will allow you to understand everything that you're doing across all your areas, whether it's in our clusters or not. And so that gives you an ownership model that's visualized to track and manage everything that you're doing. Whether we've codified it or not, all solutions that you're doing will be captured in OMI. The second part is multiply, where you take your own work and you fit it in the context of the North, Central, and South community clusters and understand how you can be part now of a collective action because of the synergy with your strategy and where we are kind of shaping the cluster-based collective action. And the third is intensify, where again, linked to your own strategy, you look at more solutions that are there in the portfolio and you decide, and we provide you an intelligence of deciding which ones are the most relevant for you to add in your context. And so OMA is your strategy that allows you to do your own work, be part of collective action in terms of where the clusters are, as well as intensify with new solutions to kind of make more impact to the communities you're focusing on. So this is just to give you a visual illustration of OWN. This is how it would map for you. It would take all of your work and convert it into a low, medium, high in terms of the intensity of the adoption that you're facing with your communities. And then in any one of them, I've given you an illustration. This would give you the list of the solutions and the scale of the solutions that are invested in that community. Rejuvenation of water bodies, check dams, bund boulders, drips in farms, farm ponds, crop 1, crop 2, an illustration. But this is your picture. It lets you see where you are in a region and to what extent things are maturing, as well as which solutions are part of your portfolio. M then takes what you are doing and then tries to figure out, okay, how can I link this up? So for example, this is an illustration where this is you as a corporation, and these are 3 locations that you are focused on. 2 of them, one is kind of a maturing community cluster, one is a starting community cluster, one is needed. And you can decide how you want to shape that. And so that's how you can focus your own fit into the multiplier. And then intensify is to look at the entire list of solutions that are there, and we will provide you an intelligence to see how you can take what you have and how you can extend further. This is an illustration of where rejuvenation of water bodies can connect to landmark water bodies, can connect to sugarcane, can connect to cotton. All of this has been designed. And so if you are already doing rejuvenation of water bodies, you can add cotton, you can add sugarcane, you can add landmark water bodies. To give you an illustration of rejuvenation of water bodies to landmark water bodies, this is what's happening in the South. So we've done rejuvenation of water bodies in about 450 water bodies in the South. 150 of them we've now been able to design to shift from there to landmark water bodies. What does that now change? It changes the overall scope in terms of transformational scope. So with landmark water bodies, if you remember, I showed you 6.6 billion liters that was delivered in the South. These 150 landmark water bodies will deliver 15 billion liters. It will also get into wash-related outcomes in terms of wells, which have got higher quality water, and the improvement, and these are the bore wells of more than 150 feet. Livelihoods, it's looking at across these 150 water bodies, landmark water bodies, to deliver about $50 million of annual revenue enhancement and cost reduction to these communities around them. On women, it's looking to engage more than 55,000 women via SAGs in the rejuvenation of water bodies, in dairy, and in fishery livelihoods. In environment, it's looking to impact more than 20,000 acres with 30% of chemicals reduction and impact about 50 of these wetlands with bird life outcome. And in sustainability, of these 150, we're looking at 50 developed water committees that will move to a stage where they're committing to transform, to maintain that transformed state on their own record so that this doesn't need donor support. And that's kind of the North Star of the sector, is where donors can look at communities taking full ownership. And so that journey is a connected journey from rejuvenation to landmark that gets you to these transformations as an illustration. And the same thing exists from rejuvenation to sugarcane or to cotton, and the same for across the other programs, that stack architecture. So OMI is your nervous system to do your own, to be part of the collective action, and to intensify. Besides the India solutions, we're also looking to intensify via a portfolio of global high-tech solutions. These are very exciting solutions. And we were part of the 100 plus. We have one of the partners from there on the call today who will say a few words. This is a consortium of AB InBev, Coca-Cola, Colgate, Danone, and Unilever. They're looking to bring 100 plus high-tech solutions into their mix that can be adopted by their portfolio companies, but also an offer for others. And so as we, as part of the cohort 5, are looking to bring some of those, the 100 plus technologies into the collective action, to begin with starting in India. These are 16 that were part of the same cohort, and they presented in the UK, where I was earlier last year. And these are phenomenal solutions to bring into India. Besides that, there are several other high-tech solutions we've shortlisted, including botanical water technologies, which is a phenomenal solution on sugarcane to extract water that's lost during processing, GWF balance, which works in utilities to reduce water loss. And so that's a set of high-tech solutions that will also be brought into the Intensify to every partner who's part of collective action. We've also set aspirational country level goals. So not just at the cluster and the basin, but at the country level. And there's a role here for what we're calling country level funders who will support resources for these aspirational goals. So everything rolls up to things that you're achieving at the country level. So what are some of the goals we've set for this year? The first is the cluster coverage, the clusters that are defining the coverage of the basins. In the South, we'd like to set to 100%. We've got plans, like I showed, that cross 80%. Can we get to 100%? In center, can we get to 50%? And in North, can we get to 25%? So these are aspirational goals that we've set for the clusters. The second aspirational goal is the transformation narrative. In a cluster, what does transformation look like? And can we visualize that even today, that we can communicate? And so for 3 clusters this year, we want to be able to communicate what does that transformation look like in the next few years in terms of where we can get to. The third is the solution portfolio that we have and that we're codifying or that we're looking to bring in. Can we look at a large outcome that's possible of 1 trillion liters in just the clusters that we are working in? And that's a third aspirational goal that we want to map for the country. And then the fourth is to bring in country level funders who will support some of this. So this is not going to be done by either the basin adopters, the basin leaders, or the solution leaders. It's country level funders who might be needed to help us achieve these goals. And so who are the kinds of funders? We're talking to IITians and other HNIs. We're talking to global foundations, intergovernmental funds, VC funds. And so if we can add 3, that will support us on country level goals. That's another aspiration for this year. And then finally, we're starting in India. And so given that we want this to be a global model, we want to contextualize the entire model for one more country. And we've picked the US, and working with the Sea Water Mandate, we want to see, can we contextualize the same solutions model for the US, starting with the California Basin? And so that's really the plan for this year. It's a workable plan. It's got all the pieces in place, and it's got aspirational goals.
So, hi everyone. Good night on my end, and happy to see a lot of people excited in here. And there was a lot of solutions and a lot of work being done already, but as we know, a lot more to do. So this is why we're presenting a series of next steps to kind of keep promoting the work being done, but also help increase and bring others to play with us. So in order to do that, we can, I start by saying that we have a series of engagement workshop that will happen in person at the beginning of May with the presence of IIT, other partners, and also Jason will be coming from our end. So it's a good opportunity to have more local conversations in these areas of interest. Initially, we have those three regions set. It might be opportunities to increase this list, but so far this is the initial areas that we'll be enacting, and will be very good to be able to meet people in person, to expand and increase our capacity to network. The second point is about making an official website, so centralized places where you can find information about what's happening, contacts, and also opportunities for you to connect. This is very important because this is not just made for you to find other partners and other players, but also an opportunity to provide information on the impacts and the outcomes that are coming from this project. So we'll be able to know what we're actually achieving together, with numbers and the capacity to react to the challenges we're facing. The point number three, the solutions-based workshops. As we've been talking here, there's a lot of good solutions coming out, and we need to kind of be able to promote those solutions. So among the next steps, we do have a spring shed conversation in North Basins. We've been sending calendar for this by March end. So please be focused on our emails, and we'll receive information about this. And finally, there's a lot of different roles to be played. As you know, we need doers, and you also need leaders. People that can provide solutions, but people that can lead the work. And as many of you are already leading, as was seen from all the work that was shared. But it's important that you step up, that you help not only invest in those solutions, but call in others to play, being either companies that you have contacts, but also engaging your suppliers. And if you want to have more information about this, we do have a contact in there, that you've been able to see. I think we can also copy and paste this in the chats to facilitate. And if you also want to understand a little bit more of the global perspective, I think Catherine can add her email to it, and you can talk to her to understand what's happening beyond India too. Since we are also landing in an extra 100 basins. So with that, I would like, on behalf of the Water Resilience Coalition and the UN Global Compact, to thank Joe and team for organizing this, and everyone for sharing your good work, and everyone that stayed here discussing this with us.